Welcome to episode 2. This episode will probably be uploaded after episode 3. I'm still going to call it episode 2 just so I could have an episode 1, 2, and 3. On this episode, I'm going to introduce you to a guy named Dr. Michael Ryce. And in my first video, the introductory video, I introduced you to a guy named Dale Allen Hoffman who studies the language of Yeshua, the language of Jesus, Aramaic. He has some very insightful things, and the way I found out about this Dr. Michael Ryce was through Dale Allen Hoffman, who is having a retreat with Dr. Michael Ryce. And I get these emails, and when I saw it, I said, let me see who this is. And I knew immediately I had to share it with you because of the video that I saw. So I'm going to make this episode very quick. I'm going to show you 3 videos from Dr. Michael Ryce, show you how they incorporate into what you saw in video episode 1 and episode 3 of my videos. When you seek God deeply and you use the information that you get not to make yourself learn or become smart, but you use it and gain it so that wisdom can speak through you, you start to get confirmation. When you start to get these thoughts on, can God be like this, or can life be like that, or do I have this concept right? It's all you need to ask, and then wisdom starts to speak through you. All of a sudden things start showing up in your life. All of a sudden you'll get an email from somebody that you found on YouTube, and that email will lead you to somebody like Dr. Michael Ryce, who reaffirms a concept that I showed you in episode 1 and in episode 3, which was my concept of in the beginning was the Word, and the Word created light, and that whole concept. All of a sudden I'm watching, we're going to show you here this first video, all of a sudden I'm watching that, and I said, I definitely have to show you guys this. So I want to share with you Dr. Michael Ryce. This is Dr. Michael Ryce.
If you go back to Jesus, and a lot of people want to worship the process that he did, like he was the miracle worker. But if you listen to him, he said, if I come in my own name, I'm a false prophet.
I of myself can do nothing.
And then he said what it took to be healed and to be whole.
Your faith.
And you'll notice that when people in his field healed, he didn't say, no, look at what I did. See that? Pretty good, eh? You notice that's not what he did. What did he say? He said, your faith. In other words, where you allowed your mind to go is where your physiology went. Yes, he says, I supported you. I showed you the way. In fact, he said, I flung a door open wide that nobody can close. Now, those who live in poverty and want to control others want to close that door. That's why they had to get rid of him. That's why they turned his teaching into religion, from law to religion. He was telling people how the creative process of life works. And he said, your faith did the healing. It wasn't about him. It was about what you do with your mind energy system. Where you allow your system to go is where your physiology is going to follow. And it doesn't matter if you're walking toward the precipice of disease and you're a day from death, a half a day, 2 hours, 2 minutes from death. If you reverse the mind energy process, you can step back, and 2 minutes to 10 minutes to 2 days to 2 weeks to total health by shifting the way the energy is focused in your system. And forgiveness is a major key for how that process works. But you can't look at the effect world and believe in it and go to the cause world at the same time.
This blew my mind.
Now, when we did that equation in the first half of the workshop, we had the cause world on one side of the equation. We had cause over here.
Confirmation.
We had effect over here. Now, an interesting thing in the Aramaic language is that the word cause and effect are singular in Aramaic. They're not separated.
When you make the two
The Aramaic mind would not think of engaging in a cause without experiencing its effect. Sometimes it takes time for the effect to unfold, And so it looks like the cause and the effect aren't connected, but in
they are
Aramaic, one word represents both. And when you recognize that your creative process follows where your mind energy goes, you can't serve cause, which would be the realm of the creator, of God, and effect, which would be the realm of matter or mammon. Remember, you cannot serve God and mammon, for you will cling to one and despise the other. So if you're looking at the effect world and letting your mind energy be sourced by the effect world, then you're worshiping the world. You're serving the world. And so you will produce a world that looks like that, and you'll be limited to that. If you give that process up and go first to the creator, then you have the option and the opportunity to go to the cause level and no longer be stuck in the effect world. And I believe that what Jesus was telling us 2,000 years ago was that our purview, the thing that we are capable of, is to live on this side of the equation. That's where we're capable of living. But most people are stuck on this side of it, looking at what's already existing in the world and letting their mind energy be so focused in that area and therefore sourced from that area.
Now, it was 100% confirmation for me, but that last part there, when he talks about, cause, is on there, and effect is over here. Now, I'm going to put my head here because I want you to see how Jesus, Yeshua, said, cast your nets to the right. And Dr. Ryce just said all of our problems, and in Buddhism they call it Maya, are illusions of problems happen in the effect world. We get lost in the effect world. We forget that the effect world is pure mind energy, because it came from cause, pure mind energy. The pure mind energy took form. So when Jesus said, cast your nets to the right, that's what I got from what Dr. Michael Ryce just said. Now let me quickly just run through this again, because the next video he talks about what he means by mind energy. And in episode 3, I said that in John 1 it says, in the beginning was the Word. And in Aramaic it was Bereshit Ayatahwa Milta, which was, in the beginning was the unseen word. Now, Milta, there's no translation for it. I like how Dr. Ryce translates this. So remember, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. I say both are God. I make one out of the two. When you make two out of the one, one out of the two. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. The Word, God, said, let there be light. And we know from 1 John, God is light. So we have our yin and our yang. And now in episode 3, the video before this, I had the word flesh in here, which offset it. We have 4 over here and 4 over here. I realize now that flesh came from light. And I showed you within episode 1 and 3 that within every single form is a specific word. Well, within light, the very first effect of the word, the cause, if we were to bring light down, there would be a word and light. Well, the word, this is the word that became flesh. It is this word, this harmony, that became flesh. And it is this word inside of this harmony that became flesh, and it is the word inside of flesh that created galaxies, and it is the word inside of galaxies that created planetary systems, and it's the word inside of the planets in those systems that created possibilities for life forms, and it is the word inside of those cellular and biological life forms that created dualities within consciously. Even trees are conscious beings, and then the dualities inside of them, the word inside of those aware beings evolved or created a self-aware being, which is the human. And inside of a self-aware being, there's a duality, which is the word and the I of myself. And it's the word and the I of myself at that level where we bit into the apple of knowledge. With inside the I of myself that could do nothing, it's the reason why the I of myself could do nothing is because that is the I of myself that believes in good and believes in evil, believes in bad, believes in good, believes in love, believes in fear, positive, negative. Remember, a battery has a positive side and negative side. Both of them are needed to be a battery. Human beings, our perceptions, our duality in our perceptive lives has positive things and negative things, and both are needed for life to exist. But our perceptions of each one of them needs to be adjusted, needs to be put back into tune with the harmony of the universe. We need to abide in the word and not in our own will and what we want, but the word, and tackle our perceptions that way. My perceptions need to be tackled by me and myself only. Your perceptions need to be tackled by you and yourself only. You are the only one that knows your perceptions and that can get into your perceptions. Let me show you video number 2, show you what Dr. Ryce says about in the beginning.
You go into the opening words in the book of John in the New Testament, and we're going to look not at the English translations that we usually see. We're not going to look at Greek sources, which are far, far removed from the original Aramaic. We're going to actually go back to the native language that those teachings came from. And what you find is in that Aramaic language, and the Aramaic language is the root language of 5 of the world's major religions. And what you find in that language is practical, here's how life works teachings, not theological, religious dogma. You find tools for living life. And if you go to the opening words in the book of John, we're generally told that the opening words say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. Well, actually, in the Aramaic language, what it says is, in the beginning was the mind energy, and the mind energy became flesh.
I like that.
Your mind energy becomes your flesh. And if you put mind energy into your system that doesn't belong in your system, you are going to experience the effects of a negative stressor. If you deny responsibility and don't see that you're the one that was there every time it happened to you, then you will think that that stressor is someone else in your life. But you'll notice, once again, if you've been through that particular stressor 87 different times with 42 different people, you are the one that was there every time. You are involved in your life. And what shows up in your mind tells you more about what's in your mind than it tells you about what somebody else outside of you is doing. And so if you look at those feelings come from your thoughts. And your feelings are molecular. Your thoughts are molecular. Your stressors are molecular.
That's pretty wild. So he has his translation, because remember, the word that was in the beginning in the Aramaic, and inside the Aramaic text, it actually, in the New Testament Aramaic to English text, it says that milta, the Aramaic word for in the beginning, was the milta. There is no English, Latin, Greek translation for that. So where I was saying it's the unseen word, I like how he says it better. It is the mind energy. Since light is pure energy, it makes sense. It hits a little bit more home for me. Not to say that the unseen word is wrong, because the unseen word is a word that I couldn't see, and he's helping me see it. It's mind energy. And the mind energy of our forms cause the form to continue on. The mind energy of our awareness caused it to become self-aware. The mind energy of our self-awareness causes us to continue on, but it's at that level that our free will can change the natural course of the mind energy. Our free will now injects our own conscious mind energy into it, and our beliefs and perceptions alter the natural state of our mind energy. Our body's natural state is to be healthy. That's why I truly believe there is no such thing as sickness. There is a perception of sickness, and your perception and then your belief in that perception brings about sickness. There is no good or evil. Our perception in good or evil bring good and evil experiences to you. When an experience comes to you, I believe it's an experience, and you take what you can from it. It is neither good, it is neither bad, it is neither meant for you, and it is meant for you. All of those possibilities are there. You are the one, and I believe that's what he's saying. You are the one that has to take responsibility. You are the one that cannot point fingers and say, oh, I got mad into this because that person, or this circumstance that happened over here made me do this. It's time for our consciousnesses to become the controllers of our effects. We are the causes of our effects. Let's go to the third video, and then we're going to end it, because this whole video that I'm doing here is really just to introduce you to Dr. Michael Ryce. And the third video talks about the commandments, and I just have a few things to write here. I don't even know if I'm spelling that right. Love God, love self, love neighbor. Let's listen to this last video.
And once you recognize that if you're trying to force an effect to change by creating rules and regulations to stop that effect, it's not possible. What you've got to do is deal with and teach cause law. And Jesus made that shift in this statement in the Aramaic language. He didn't talk about effect law, namosa. He talked about cause law, orita. So he said that's the first one. That's the most important one. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor. He named the second object of attention. As thyself. A third object of attention. So what is he saying here? He's saying that you must keep the condition. And in Aramaic, the word love, and there is no word for this or that resembles this in the Greek language. There is no word that resembles this in the English language. We have to string several words together to try to approximate the Aramaic meaning. But in the Aramaic language, there are 17 different words that have been translated by one English word, love. And the word that was used in this particular situation was the word rakma.
Rakma.
And he was talking about the cause of sane behavior. He said, you've got three objects of attention. In Aramaic, this word neighbor is not a physical word, it's a mental word. So when he said you've got to love neighbor, he was saying you've got to keep a condition in your mind called neighbor for anybody that you think about. In Aramaic, neighbor means anyone you think about. If they come into your mind, they are your neighbor. And if you want to do sane behavior, you must keep the condition of rakma, which is love, within your mind. If you fail that test, if you fail that law, then you will do what you regret. You will do what does not bring you into the highest and best levels of your creative process and your creative potential. This was not some kind of a religious philosophy or even a nice philosophy. It is a survival philosophy. Because if you can't do it, you won't survive long. And we think somebody in our culture who lives to be 100 years of age has really survived a long time. But you know, we're eternal beings. Energy is eternal. And to destroy an eternal energy system in 100 years or less is a pretty short lifetime. And you look back in the scriptures and they said there'll come a time when your whole life will become a prayer. And that is that you will be able to step into this space of love for whoever and whatever your object of attention is. And as you're able to do that, everything will change. And then he gives another big clue to how to run a life. The last, and perhaps, when we understand it, as important or maybe even more important than this first part of it in our culture at this point, for people to grasp and to understand, because there is so much misunderstanding about these scriptures. And what he said was, upon these two commandments hang the law. Upon these two commandments.
Love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Neighbor,
Hang
God,
thee.
self.
And now we're talking about the actual law, not man's rules and regulation. The law and it was a possessive word, its prophets.
The law's prophets. The law's prophets, to me, is the things, the conditions that apply to the prophet of 2 + 2 = 4 is the truth that 2 and 2 = 4. If you get 2 + 2 = 5, your prophet is false. So it's that word prophet that people might look at as, oh no, a prophet is a person that comes to speak the truth. But the truth doesn't have to come through a person speaking it. The laws have truth. And Moses brought the 10 commandments. I'm sure there were more commandments. But you can live by the laws of Moses, but you're constantly, consciously going to have to say, oh, I should do this or I shouldn't do this. Thou shalt not do that. Thou shalt do this. Where Jesus brought us grace. Moses brought us the laws. Jesus brought us grace. Grace meaning just concentrate on these 2 laws and you automatically abide in every other law. You no longer have to go through life saying, man, I hope I make the right decisions today in life. No decisions need to be right or wrong when you abide in the law. If you're loving God, if you're loving yourself, if you found yourself and found God within, then you definitely know who your neighbor is. And if you're loving all 3 of them, how can you break any of the 10 commandments? When you truly, and remember, you need to get to the root of your being. Make sure that it is love coming from your heart, that your heart is pure love. The true love has no opposition. It has no opposite side. It comes from the pure word, the pure mind energy. Once you abide in those 2 laws, I believe this is what it means. You know, you won't need to consciously, constantly think about the 10 commandments or what needs to be done, and I think you understand it. So again, this episode was to bring you Dr. Michael Ryce. I want to thank you, and hopefully Dr. Michael Ryce will lead you to some awakening, or lead you to, like Alan led me to Dr. Ryce, maybe Dr. Ryce will lead you to where you need to be. Always be open, expand your consciousness, and you will be led. And it is you that will lead. Like St. Francis said, the one that you are seeking for is doing the seeking. Something like that. I'll probably put it up on one of these side things. This has been episode 2, Seek God Deeply. My name is Christopher. Thank you. I can't wait to see you again. Elohim be with you. Elohim is you.